Hello. Before I get started, I want to share a little story with you called What is God Like? God is a little like General Electric. He lights your path. God is a little like Bear Aspens. He works wonders. God is a little like Hallmark cards. He cares enough to send the very best. God is like Tide. He gets out the stains that others leave behind. God is like Alberto VO5 hairspray. He holds through all kinds of weather. God is like Dial Soap. Aren't you glad you know him? Don't you wish everyone did? God is a little like Sears. He has everything. God is a little like Alka-Seltzer. Oh, what a relief he is. God is like Scotch tape. You can't see him, but you know he's there. God is a little like Scotch tape or the copper top battery. Nothing can outlast him. God is a little like American Express. Don't leave home without him. Hello, inquiring minds. I am Minister D. Robinson, Senior, M.A., and welcome to Speaking Candidly, brought to you by Our Truth Ministry. Thank you for tuning in to this YouTube channel. But before I get started, I just did get started with the talk show. Parental and viewer discretion may advise, especially for those under the age of 18, due to the sensitive language and choice of words selected for this particular video. The topic for today: how the satanic and male leaders took over the religious and secular institutions, forbidding women who are the heirs of the world from their rightful throne. You see, the messenger who came from the darkness has seized and replaced the satanic coat from the light after being cast down from heaven, and are now the official mediators of all world and religious affairs. Genesis chapter 3 verse 2 reads, "The woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the tree in the garden. But God did say, you must not eat fruit from that tree that is in the middle of the garden, or you must not touch it, or you would die." You see, this cult and the followers of Satan came into being from a light. And in the book of Genesis, all depending on what version you're reading, reads that Satan persuaded Adam and Eve to partake of the forbidden fruit of life. We're not sure what kind of fruit it was, but we do know that the reproductive parts of a man and a woman gives birth to knowledge, foolishness, sin, and curses. Okay? Which can be partaken of orally or anally or sexually, and can be considered what we call the tree of knowledge. And these features bring about the possibility of causing some type of genetic effects, whether it be hereditary or biological, causing damage to the seeds and fruits that bear from the womb. be true, then how can we contribute one's several prefaces as to that of being from God when he warned Adam and Eve in advance before they were supposedly tricked by the devil? Therefore, can we really say that their sexual behavior was with and of God, or was their behavior a personal choice being executed by them, being fully aware of the consequences and repercussions of their actions? See, God knew that once they had become disobedient unto him, that they would no longer belong to him in a spiritual sense, but rather they would become dead to him and the world and the sole property of Satan, and would need to be reborn again to reestablish their relationship once they have been disconnected. You see, Adam and Eve were like newborn babies. They were still wet behind their ears and still in need of their mother's breast milk for survival in a world filled with wolves who were preying on the new creatures, being the sheep without a shepherd. They were forced to grow up fast as they dwelled among the father of sin and his demonic spirits. As a result of their disobedience, the first family was cursed and began their dissension and exodus from the garden of knowledge. The Edomanites and the Adamites were born blind, and their offspring had the possibility of being blind also. So what happened was the floodgates of uncertainty was open. For the first time, choices and differences were born into the world. The animals who were once one body, one spirit, one mind with them, their best friends, they talked with them, they walked with them, they played with them, they sustained their lives and kept them safe, were now being asked to draw straws as to who would die to clothe the fallen creation of God. And now that they are naked. You see, the two became one after their umbilical cords were detached from the creator of all life in the universe. Just to think, a helpless animal had to be sacrificed to cover up their sins, and the first recorded death of God's creation was recorded so that humanity can survive. At this very moment in our human history, we began to decline. Our brain capacity began to decline. But just imagine if Adam and Eve had not eaten from the tree of knowledge, how much of our brain capacity that we will be utilizing today. However, the story may go. They were forced to grow up in a sinful world where they were once beloved by all creatures. Their offsprings were supposedly cursed and born into a sinful world because of one poor choices. Each day millions of sinners share personal stories about how God had transformed their lives, and because of transformation, they have become alive and now are living a life of Jesus. Before the book of Genesis was written, there was a human civilization somewhere in Africa that lived in total darkness, and they were the gatekeepers of the good, evil, and life, until one day a bright light entered into the world and dwelled among this people. But they did not recognize the light or those who came from the light. Countries like China, Japan, Asia, North America, South America, and other native lands were once alive, but now have become dead because the light, those who came from the light entered into their world or into their countries and changed their people and their way of life forever, even to the point of extinction. Some theologians argue that the light was Satan, not Jesus and his followers, after being cast down from the heavens. Most say that the light was an alien from outer space who came bearing life-changing technology beyond humans' knowledge and understanding. But whatever the case may be, a light was born into the world. And at that moment when the light came into existence, it came down from the earth, from the heavens. The earth did tremble and gave birth to lightness out of darkness and became two. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 16 and 17 reads, "Those that see you will stare at you and ponder over you. Is this the man who made the earth tremble and shook kingdom, which made the world like a desert and showed and overthrew its cities? Who would not let his prisoners go home? The people who dwell in the darkness were required to provide a secret password while traveling to and fro about the earth in order to move freely. Many lost souls cried out in the darkness for God to send them a redeemer. Then one day a loud voice rang from the heavens and answered their prayers. And God sent him his son, Horus, born out of the darkness, or Jesus, most say, was born out of the light, to defeat the one who lived in the darkness and his followers who snatched and tormented lost souls in the hellish earth. As humanity continued their search of the universe to explain its existence, one may not have to look far, but rather understand that life began its journey as an embryo in the placenta mammal, which is defined as being an organism between the first incision of the zygote and fertilized ovum until it becomes a fetus. All human beings are comprised of 3/4 of water. And get this, 3/4 of the earth is comprised of water. As infants, we lay in a pool of water in the placenta of our mother's womb, and we swam in it, and we needed the water to survive. We needed the dirt to cover the smell of our decomposing bodies. Therefore, it is next to impossible to recreate life from dirt. Only a fool will believe that idea even exists, at least from a realistic standpoint. We can make a piece of art from dirt or clay, but we do not have the ability to breathe life into our creation, whether it be dirt or clay. What came first, the chicken or the egg that gave life to the yolk? Therefore, man could not have entered into the world first because he came through his mother's womb and had no ability, he lacked the ability to hold a child, never alone to bring the child into the world. The egg came from the womb of a chicken, and over a period of time gave birth to a chicken, a rooster, and now the rooster or the chicken has both parents for appropriation of the life cycle. Women were created to love, nurture, and care for the welfare of humanity as a vessel for humanity. Therefore, one can argue that women were the first creation of God and the firstborn of God, and their daughters are heirs and stewards of the earth. This could only mean that God had an agreement with Eve and not Adam. The word woman, as we call them in ancient Egypt, means one with knowledge. One who was born with knowledge, born into a world with knowledge. But today we call them man, one born, one who lacks knowledge, rather than the woman who is born with knowledge and are considered the gatekeepers of the universe. But the one who lacks knowledge, being man, is not born with knowledge but develops knowledge over a period of time. They were born from the womb of a woman. That was until one who lacks knowledge united with Satan in a quest to steal the woman inheritance, true inheritance of the earth, in exchange for an opportunity to rule all nations who have become dead and forbidden to wake up. Before the man-made deity's ascension to power and the throne of life, their primary duties were homemakers, one who stayed at home and cared for the male children while doing odd tasks around the home. The Bible states that Eve ate from the tree of knowledge first and then persuaded Adam to eat from the forbidden tree of knowledge. Wrong answer. Adam ate from Eve's womb, being the tree of knowledge first, and then vice versa. And their eyes became open, realizing that they were naked. As we can see, even to this day, the enemies will not relinquish the throne to its rightful owners, even if it means killing billions of people to maintain control and order through misguided information, fear, and death. See, the male dominant powers of today spent millenniums. The male powers of today and their predecessors spent millenniums stealing, buying, whitewashing historical faces, documents, scrolls, manuscripts, and artifacts, just to name a few, in their deceitful acts against humanity. In the beginning, the word of God was with Eve and known by women and passed down to their daughters who bear the hidden knowledge of the universe as the keepers and providers of God's precepts handed down Alpha and Omega. Their eyes were open to the things that that one can only hope for, and her dreams died before they became a reality. Because of her lust for the beauty and the flesh of the one who came from the light to steal her love, her inheritance, position, and status as a goddess. Man continues to use many tactics and strategies to confuse and strike fear into the woman and her children using methodological approach, such as Willie Lynch, to enslave the woman and her children who have become dead to the world, not knowing that they are alive and not dead by any means necessary. But in order to live, one must be willing to die first, something that this is what made the early church followers grow stronger in numbers, was the fact that they were willing to lose their lives. In order to live, one must be willing to die first. This is something that made the early church followers and elders grow in numbers, because they were willing to die. They were willing to sacrifice their lives in order to gain their freedom and eternal life. That was before the Holy Roman Catholic Church took over, took control of the Jewish church, the Muslim church, Judaism, the denominations of America and abroad, the Calvinists, the Baptists, the Mennonites, the Presbyterians and Methodists, just to name a few. And they began to water down the religious texts and the teachings of Jesus Christ with a mixture of the satanic language. You see, Jesus said in Matthew 5 and 13, "You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot." You see, Jesus meant that in order to make the earth salty again, one must be radical, to be persecuted, and must believe in him who is to live a life of Jesus. Is how to make the earth salty again, or how to replenish the salt that was within the earth. See, as Christians, you must be willing to be crazy, to take a bullet for a child, or to go to prison, to protect and to defend your neighbor as you would yourself, and live a life of Jesus to earn your stripes, to reach the afterlife, or the next level many call heaven. 2 Corinthians 14 and 15 reads, "And no wonder, for Satan himself masqueraded as an angel of light. It is not surprising then if his servants who masquerade as servants of righteousness. Then if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness, their end would be what their actions deserve: sacrifice, suffering, service, and redemption, which are necessary to be blood-stained believers or followers of the Most High or the Most Low." Have a choice here now. Either you're hot or you're cold. There's no such thing as being lukewarm. There's no such thing as being a middleman. There's no such thing as being neutral. Either you for or you against. See, around 30 AD, Satan and the Roman Catholic Church used spies and special forces within the Sanhedrin to seek out and destroy Jesus Christ and his followers, the 12 disciples, using charges of sedition and blasphemy. And after bringing him up on these charges at the Sanhedrin, in the synagogue, the courts of the synagogue, he was found guilty by a mock court, a mock jury, and execution. Jesus and his disciples were crucified, and the world was accused as being their murderers. After they vote at the Roman cross, which is now a symbol of the Christian faith, on Mount Calvary at that time. In and around 30 AD to 70 AD, the satanic cults and persecutors finally realized how strong and powerful this Jesus and his followers was, even in death. As they killed millions of his followers, but yet they grew stronger in numbers. So the rulers devised a plan, and the Romans infiltrated the house churches, using St. Paul as their vessel. And once they gained entry, they rewrote and transcribed the old sacred texts as believers and followers of Jesus Christ followed their lead under false pretense, under willingness to believe that God can change. God has the power and mercy to render to anyone. If you cannot beat them, then join them. This was the concept of the first church. The first church said, keep your enemy close and your enemy on a string. This is what the first church did. And after they invented the printing presses, they were able to whitewash the text. They were able to change the text to become more believable, more acceptable to their era that was in question. Even today, texts, new texts and new editions are printed unlike the old. The Bible, under its strict conditions, under its suspect print at the hands of the first church, is still the #1 bestseller for fools. Those who acquired knowledge have questioned the accuracy of certain passages and books being written in the Bible. Not as for I. They killed the messenger. The first church predecessors and successors killed the messenger and distorted the word of God. How many of Jesus' disciples actually wrote their own material or their own understanding from their teacher, whom they were pupils in the New Testament, or the Roman Bible itself? How did the Roman Catholic priesthood become the authors and co-authors of both the Old and the New Testament accounts, when they were the oppressors, the persecutors, the murderers, so forth and thereon, of the early Christians, of the early church followers of Jesus Christ and his 12 disciples? So how much of what I'm saying is a little truth? Has a little truth to it? Where are the 12 disciples' writings, or were they illiterate too? You see, the satanic cult of the Holy Roman Catholic Church and its clergy followers used wicked methods, such as slavery and safe houses during the slave trade of the Mid-Atlantic slave trade from Africa, to gain power and inflict fear and conversion of millions of Muslims to Christianity, as a way partook in the slave trade of the mid-Atlantic slave trade to America, kidnapping Muslims to convert them to Christianity. Whoa, that's deep. During the mid-Atlantic slave trade with Europe, Spain, Germany, and other human cargo nations involved in the human trafficking of stealing Muslims from Africa, the anti-religious elite of the early church or the first church can be considered as creatures who feed on the blood, sweat, and tears of lost sheep, using the power of religion to claim and control the people that they have captured, they have converted or reconverted under false pretense. The New and the Old Testament was written around 70 AD, and the church gained full control, you see what I'm saying, of the house churches and some of the texts around 313 AD. But the writing of the Old Testament and the New Testament began around 70 AD. But the first church, the Holy Roman Catholic Church, gained control over the powerful religion of Jesus and his followers around 313 AD, which the Romans Emperor Constantine made religion legal, Christianity legal in the Roman province, in Rome and the Roman provinces. Now get this, that satanic cult of the Holy Roman Catholic Church and its clergy followers parade around the world in decorated clothing, claiming to be followers of Jesus, and the gatekeepers of the secret tablets, scrolls, and manuscripts attained by his disciples, and those attained through wars by their allies who look for religious scrolls and artifacts to take back to the Holy Roman Catholic Church. Now see, the Holy Roman Catholic Church claimed that the church was built on Peter's rock. But get this, Peter was Jesus' disciple who felt that he was not worthy enough to be buried upright, so he wanted to be buried downward, because of the sinful act that he committed against his teacher. And Jesus said, "You will deny me 3 times before the rooster crow." The rooster crowed 3 times. And Peter said, "Not me, Lord, I love you." But when that very moment came, Peter denied him, not once, twice, but 3 times. You see, the pagan Roman Catholic Church appeared to be upright, but rather it is downward, having only power over a man-made deity and not the heavenly realm. You see, sexual immortality has always been a catechism and requirement of the first church, being the Holy Roman Catholic Church, for all male and female members before they enter the priesthood. You see, after centuries of unchecked behavior and trillions of dollars and political power gained within every major government globally, even in America, a nation of laws, who is helpless to pass any meaningful law to protect the innocent victims that were victimized due to the sensitive deeds of the clergy members of the Holy Roman Catholic Church. You see, the Roman Catholic devils, I call them, or clergy members and other denominations connected to the faith, ask for your forgiveness, but they have developed an addiction to young boys and girls and women and mentally challenged people. So basically they develop an addiction for the weak, for those who lack knowledge, but those who are foolish. Not because they have not gained knowledge, because they are still stuck in their foolish ways. So how can we as a global world expect the church to eradicate the corruption and sexual mentality of homosexuality, being bisexual, transgender behavior, when the roots of their fruits and seeds are rooted in a nation and an empire known as the Roman Catholic Church or Roman Empire, has always been prevalent. Has always been present. You see, in Proverbs 6, God hates abomination the most, or the 7 sins of man or his creation. I do not think God wants clergy members to hide behind him when they mistreat the innocent and helpless children. By taking their innocence and virginity and forcing them to defend themselves while becoming silent out of shame, fear, unkind accusations, concerns for his or her character. See, this type of behavior certainly does not resemble or represent the type of behavior that is of Christ, that is of Jesus Christ. But rather it represents God's rival, Satan, sinister deeds, and may be justified by their behavior as being rational and acceptable behavior from a satanic standpoint. See, the Vatican released a report recently conducted by them that states that only a few gay clergy members exist in the diocese of the Vatican. And they did their own research instead of hiring an outside company to do the research. So here's an example. If a thief steals from his neighbor's house and gets caught in the act, but now he decides that he is going to defend himself as judge, jury, and executioner, and that he is capable of rendering a fair and honest judgment to his victims for his crimes on their behalf. Yeah, right. We as Christians and followers of deities need to understand that if we support satanic behavior, then we are just as guilty as they are when they abuse and hurt innocent people. Should we punish all crimes the same or different? Why is that? Does not God love the sinner more than he loves the messenger? The church supports gay marriages and LGBT rights as much as they do anti-abortion and divorce. Reason being, they can continue practicing their satanic ways riding under the umbrella of religion called the Holy Trinity. See, Isaiah 14:20-21 reads, "You will not join them in burial. You have destroyed your land and killed your people. Let the offspring of the wicked never be mentioned again, perhaps a place to slaughter his children for the sins of their ancestors. They are not to rise to inherit the land and cover the earth with their cities." See, God is talking about the evil ways and misguided teaching of those who are aware of what they are doing is wrong and does not add value to the lives of those they lead, but rather subtract from the ones and the deeds, not necessarily those who believe in same-sex marriages, but rather those who are still living in the closet. You see, Satan is neither male nor female, but can be either. The name Satan is a man-made deity that seeks to destroy the people who have become dead, lost and weak through deception and deceit, in a quest for the power and control of the universal darkness. The first offsprings of Eve were descendants of Satan. And it does not matter whether you are good or bad, the armor has the possibility to crave the flesh of human beings. Proverbs 17 reads, "Foolish children are aggrieved to their fathers, and bitterness to her who bore them. Yes, something went terribly wrong in the Garden of Adam and Eve. Because poor Adam was not experienced enough to procreate with Eve, therefore a more experienced candidate was needed for the task. See, all behavior is hard to overcome, even with consecrated prayer. Ask the priest who prayed on the weak members of his congregation. You see, God and Satan are one, enmeshed as one body, one spirit, one mind, to help his creation grow and develop through trials and tribulations. Allow them to give a report at the end of their untimely demise, then give him rest. As night is today, the sun is to the moon. As man is to woman, as twins are to one and another, that we are jointly connected. We are born with 2 hands, 2 ears, 2 eyes, 2 feet, just with 10 toes, just to name a few. We cannot have goodness without evilness, because it helps us to understand each other and how the world around us operate. This offers humanity the potential to expand their minds in pursuit of happiness, or to eliminate the differences in order to find commonalities. God has the power and authority over his creation, or should I say over all of his creation, the living and the dead, to lift them up as new creatures. It would be impossible for both man and Satan to lift up God or Jesus Christ and carry him above the synagogue in Jerusalem and offer him the whole world if only he would worship him. Next to impossible. Satan has murdered countless of human beings and misled them, deceived them through deception and deceit. You see, the father of sins ruled all walks of earthly life and seeks to unify the universe as his unspoken promise to God, and his ways willingness to corrupt God's people. Anyone can have ambitious dreams to become almost anything they want to be in life, but they only have a short time in life to achieve those goals, whether it be using talents and gifts to be all they can be in life, to achieve those goals, whether it be setbacks, failures, disappointments, loss, grief, and wrongdoing, which yields the opportunity to overcome those setbacks and failures by trusting in Jesus Christ to direct your path. Trusting in your elected officials to do what is right may prove fatal when your life becomes unmanageable and uncontrollable. Offering your trust in your prayers, or ensuring your trust in your prayers to the Pope, to the pastor, the minister, the sisters, or the elders, or or the priest, just to name a few, may cost you more than you are willing to bargain for. So search for your answers to your questions or even information discussed in this video. Some people believe that there is no truth or facts, but rather only opinions. Because everything in life has been distorted from its original state. Even the message from the messenger, after being intercepted by the rulers with the eyes in the sky and below, and even in your circle of friends if the price is right. You see, your government wants to keep you in a deep sleep, away from the truth, because you are more easily to be controlled that way when you are dead to the way, dead to the world, when you have not reached your awakening to know when you're being played, to know when you've been bamboozled, to know when one is taking advantage of you. Right now, 50% of your earnings go towards those who proclaim themselves to be your leader. And then you look at that 20% of taxes you pay just to maintain your security. So that's 70%. So you're only left with 30. 30 out of 100, people, come on now. How much of that is being alive than being dead? Getting on with the message. See, the internet and analog devices allow them to distort, deceive the people with false news on all channels, whether it be social media or newspaper, radios, television. See, the analog device that we switched to not long ago allow a program to be operated off of satellite. So we all know that those that have direct TV, if TV go out in the middle of the game, it's going to come back on where the game eventually left off, but not saying that the game is still not in progress. We missed that piece. And so they're showing us a pre-recorded tape. So the world can be over as I speak, but one would never know because they have become dead to the world. They allow those who claim to be their rulers to decide whether they live or they die, whether they wake up or go to sleep. Instead of taking control of their own lives, they have given it to the enemy. You know, it's a deep message here. If you listen to the message, to the talk show in its entirety, there is a message here. And the only way you're going to find out what the message is that you have to pay close attention. You have to look for things that you were once curious about, or things that you want to know more about. And once you find that little niche, now it's up to you to do your own research. I've done mine. Now it's up to you to do your part, to find out if what I say match up. Now, you see, it allowed the government to infiltrate suspected terrorists or suspected people that have reached their awakening stage to rise up and fight against those who we say are in the light and not in the darkness, being your government. So what I am saying here is that, you see, these devices allow the government to spy